Discovering yourself. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Aristotle. In this chapter, we will discuss the importance of discovering yourself. We will discuss the importance of understanding one's identity and individuality. Also, we will talk about how we can embrace our strengths and acknowledge our weakness. And finally, we will focus on the importance of self-reflection. When we know who we are, we know how to act. We know what we expect from ourselves. We know what we will and what will not do. This knowledge we have about ourselves comes from acknowledging how we acted in certain situation. We know this from our past. We know what we have done in the past. We also know what is expected of us. This may come from our parents, teachers, or other authority figures. We learn all of this as we go and grow through life. Sometimes our problem is that we forget who we are. We act out, but not according to who we truly are. This is probably when we get in trouble with ourselves and with others. This is when it's hard to look at ourselves in the mirror. This happened to me when I first graduated from college and started working in 1976. In 1976, jobs were hard to come by. You couldn't always get a job in your major. You had to take what was available. At that time, the available jobs were in retail at stores like Montgomery Ward's, Kmart, Macy's, and Marshall Field's. Even though my degree was in social science, I started my first job with Montgomery Ward's as a management trainee. I was glad to have any job, and I was glad to have that job. It was in Joplin, Mo. That summer, I packed up the Ryder rental truck with my belongings and the belongings of my longtime college girlfriend, Sandy, and moved. The job was located at the store, which was part of a huge mall. There were very few black customers at the mall and even fewer black employees. I felt very alone. There was only one other black person who worked at the store with me. Kids and customers would call me names. "Hey, Mommy, look, there's a nigger." Even employees that I supervised were insensitive to my race and would make unbelievable comments like, "My grandbaby has brown eyes because there was a nigger in the woodpile." They would say things I just didn't understand. Later, as I grew and became more empathetic, I realized these white people had never been around black people. They really didn't know how to act. Many times they would just innocently make racist comments. It was a different time. In my job as a manager trainee, I ran the men's clothing department and was responsible for training all employees on the new digital cash registers. In rank at the store, there were only 4 people ahead of me: the store manager, operations manager, finance manager, security, and then me. I had more education than everyone. I felt that I should be treated better because of my rank and education. But that was not the case. When I would talk to my friends who worked in Kansas City or other big cities, they would tell me I should get out of Joplin. They told me I could do better, that I was being mistreated. They filled my head with a lot of negativities. And I hate to say it, but I acted accordingly. I was not the best employee. I would barely show up on time. I would take long lunch hours and breaks. I had a very bad attitude. Then things got worse. My girlfriend left me. My younger brother came to live with me, and we acted like fools. We partied, and we partied some more. We were involved in all sorts of illicit activities. I even began to steal merchandise from work. I was way out of bounds but couldn't see it. All I could see was that I was being mistreated and that I was lonely and a victim of all the bad things that were happening to me. Then one day the big guys from Chicago came to see me. I was returning from one of those long lunch hours. I was sure they were coming to promote me and move me away from Joplin to Kansas City or Chicago. That wasn't the case. They came to fire me. They fired me for stealing, saying that as I was training employees on the new cash registers, I was stealing. That wasn't true. I was stealing. But I was stealing some other stuff. The firing was clearly a racial thing, but I didn't have a leg to stand on because I had been such a bad employee. I was stealing. So I called my dad, and with my tail between my legs, I returned home.